Hello, everybody. Hi, everyone. To those of you who are seeing me here, I know this video is very, very random. So I'll just say that I'm going to start working full time as an interpreter again. Maybe some of you who already know me know that I do more teaching and create materials more than anything. And working as an interpreting has been like put on the side a little. So now I'm going to start working as a medical interpreter full time again. And I wanted to have these sessions like, let's call them debriefing or the highlights of my day or medical interpreting days. So the plan is to every day that I work after my shift is over, I'm going to take 30 minutes and I'm going to briefly go over my shift and some ideas while they are fresh in my mind. And I hope that's very interesting for you. Of course, I'm a remote interpreter. I work mainly video and over the phone interpretation. So I just want to quickly check those who are already watching the recording. I mean, this live stream. If you, I'm reading your comments. So if you leave any comment, I'll be able to see it. Now, without further ado, let's just get started right away and talk about some of the things that happened today. First of all, I noticed that I'm super rusty, um, but I still manage it. Like I still have the magic, right? I haven't lost my touch, but there is a lot that need to be improved, which I'm excited about now that I'll be working full time. The other thing as well is that I have noticed some note-taking changes that I believe I'm going to share with you in some of my trainings, mostly that if I try to explain it to you right now, it wouldn't make a lot of sense because it's very sort of abstract and complicated. Um, and so today, the most interesting call was a call about a gentleman who I had to write it down, diastasis recti. So what would that be? Such a big name. So basically, this person thought that they had a tumor in their stomach, but they have I still have issues pronouncing that word, diastasis recti. So let me see. I'm going to read this from healthline.com. It says diastasis recti is the partial or complete separation of the rectus abdominis or six-pack muscles, which meet at the midline of your stomach. Diastasis recti is very common during and following pregnancy. This is because the uterus stretches the muscles in the abdomen to accommodate your growing baby. One study, okay, that's something else, but this was not a pregnant female. This was a man with diastasis recti, and basically what they recommended was to do some core exercises, I believe, and that if his belly kept hurting him or having issues, then they would consider performing surgery. But that was pretty interesting, a pretty interesting call. And also I noticed that I'm also more aware of the communication skills of the providers. So for example, today I noticed that, let me see, how can I phrase this? So as I work as an over the phone interpreter, sometimes it's very hard to describe some instructions to the patient because those instructions tend to be very, very visual. And I think providers need to have some sort of training to be able to give those instructions effectively over the phone. Or maybe use other mediums like having pictures handy when they're explaining these things, having videos or something to support the message when you have a phone interpreter. Another thing that's probably super common for a lot of interpreters at this point, and that I'm just going to repeat because I stopped interpreting for some time, is the lack of providers education in terms how to work with interpreters. So a lot of the times they will go like to the other side of the room and they will start saying something, and then of course I cannot hear them, so I ask them for repetition. So if they know they're working with an interpreter, they know they shouldn't do that, like go to the other side and then start talking because it's complicated. There should be like a workaround, right? Also, I have noticed that some people in over the phone interpreting, you have to ask for a lot more repetitions, a lot more clarifications. Why? Because sometimes the line may break up, there may be a bad connection. Sometimes speakers mumble their words. So imagine if it's already hard to understand what somebody is saying in person in front of you with the best in a noise-free environment, and they just mumble something and you cannot understand it. Now imagine that over the phone, where sometimes the quality of the line of the phones is not as good as having somebody talk to you in person. So the audio quality is never the same as in person. So that's another factor. Another factor is that providers, when you start repeating, like, please, could you repeat, could you rephrase? I couldn't catch that. They start to feel very frustrated, and also the patients. But these are issues that can be prevented by, I think, by two things: having good equipment available and having good training, knowing how to work with interpreters, at least from the provider side. I know the patients don't always know, but the providers should know. Another thing that I noticed that I thought it was very good is that all the providers I talked to today were speaking to me in short phrases, right? None of them was rushed, or none of them was this sometimes these crazy providers that you get that just start one thing after the other and makes the job more difficult. All of them used very short sentences, which was nice. Let me think. What else? And I think that's pretty much it, that what I have to say for today. So I have to learn more about that the fecal sample equipment, like a testing kit that they give people, where they have this little it's like a plastic bag or like a paper that they put around the toilet bowl and to catch the stool sample, right? So I have never used that before, so I had to explain all of that. At the end of the day, the provider said, okay, let's go to the bathroom, I'm going to show you there how to use it. So she was very resourceful in that sense, and I think nothing too bad happened today. It was all very positive. Surprisingly, sometimes you get a lot of negatives with over the phone interpreting, but I believe that I've become so much better at it, because there is also another thing that I want to mention, which I think part of the reason why I'm able to cope with these issues partially contributes to that, is that before I noticed that I used to oh, I can see it. I have some comments, incoming comments. Okay, let's continue with the comments really quickly. Great. Thank you. Thank you for the positive comments, everybody. I know there is a delay, but yes. So what I was saying is that before, at the beginning of my career, I used to be very literal, like, okay, I have to stick to what they say. I have to be accurate. I have to be complete. And I just have to say the exact same words that they're saying and let them figure it out. I'm just going to say what is the most accurate, correct translation. But the thing is that whenever we interpret something, we have to bear in mind the context and the purpose, and also the person we are talking to, because sometimes we can have a pretty good sense of what the person is not going to understand, because we have this perspective, this knowledge that sometimes providers lack. They don't, when somebody, for example, the patient today was asking a question, and I knew exactly how to answer that question for that person, for that patient, to really understand. But the provider was the answer the provider gave actually made things more confusing to them. And I'm not sure if this is something that comes with being bicultural, bilingual, or something that comes from really a very good communicator. Like, okay, I like to say that I'm a good communicator. So I guess it could be either or, right? And so going back to being literal and being focusing on the meaning is that now I'm able to grasp more of the, for example, cordialities. Is that how you say, like, acts of politeness, kindness? So I'm able to show those different aspects of communication more easily. It comes more naturally, and the conversation also feels more naturally to everyone involved. So they may, I like to think that it makes things a little bit more smooth for everyone by not focusing so much on just saying exactly what they say, but actually saying what they mean. Because sometimes we know what somebody means because it's like the implied meaning, and but it's not literally what they mean, but that it is what they want to say, because we know in this context, with this tone of voice, with this certain arrangement of words, and we know what they're trying to say. And sometimes that thing that we understand is what actually facilitates communication. So it's like the small letters that we have to read. So I think it's been like 10 minutes or so, and I said pretty much everything that I wanted to say for today. And I know this is a little bit too personal, it's super random, but I want to keep doing more of this. It's going to be called a series, Medical Interpreting Days. So this is chapter number 1, or day 1. So if I do this every single day, we will have like 365 chapters per year. But of course, I take my days off. Sometimes I'm super busy. However, this is something good, I think. Let me know if you have any comments, any questions, and about anything that I said. And I'm just going to give you some time to write, and maybe let your comments appear in the comment section, because there is a delay. Let's see. And thank you, Gustavo. Thank you, Mark. And yeah, I guess that will be all for today. So thank you so much, everybody. See you next time.